has ever prospered that failed to put its own interests first. We will no longer surrender this country or its people to the false song of globalism.
New Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Record.
Welcome to the weekly wrap-up. We're two guys get in front of a camera and try to figure out what just happened to us last week. My name is Bob Dunlap.
I'm Eric Matheny. How you doing, Bob?
Good. How are you doing? Hold on. Shut up. Oh, come on. I'm doing great, man. How was your week?
My week was great. A lot going on this week. This was our first week doing the show, first full week. We're now episode 2. This week we had 9,282 people watch our show. Can you believe that?
I do not, but
first week, 9,282. I want to thank all of you. So show's going to be coming to you 12 noon Eastern Standard Time every Saturday. And we're going to be bringing you a little something on Wednesday nights, a little short, just a bridged version, a little preview of what's to come, maybe a little talk about what's going on so far in the week. But we are in such a busy news cycle, we figure one show is probably not going to cut it. So we're going to do a quick show every Wednesday as well as Saturday.
Yeah.
So, Bob, what's on your mind?
I'll tell you, the biggest thing that's going on for me is the civil war we're in right now. And for people that don't believe me, I'm going to explain to you. It's a digital civil war being fought by Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Google, YouTube. And I'll give you some examples of people that have been thrown off these platforms. Alex Jones, Faith Godley, Paul Joseph Watson, and Milo, but especially a woman named Laura Loomer. All she did was tell the truth about Omar. And now she's thrown off Twitter, Facebook. She can't do PayPal. PayPal threw her off. She can't even take a Uber or that other car company. She can't even take that. But I'll give you some more examples. This week, right before the rally, Right Side Broadcasting Network was stripped of their rights to do live streaming on YouTube for no reason. They've never done any copyright infringement. So there's another example. Another one is, did you know, I don't know if you knew this, Eric, but 41% of the attendees at the Trump rally were Latinos. And just the other day, the leadership of the Latinos for Trump was all thrown off Twitter. So it's obvious that the conservatives are getting screwed. And I'd like to get your opinion on it as well, Eric.
Well, the problem is that in the modern age, being deplatformed is essentially being banished from society. This is the soapbox. This is the political square. And to be deplatformed and to be thrown off of the social media vehicles for communication, essentially we're silencing people. Now, the problem we have, and it's more a cultural problem, but it manifests itself with the technology, is that we are afraid, or at least Democrats are afraid of exposing their own people to our ideas, especially the young people, and they self-censor themselves. They don't want to hear the other side. Now, the school of thought I come from is if you believe in something, listen to the other side, because it's only going to make your own belief stronger. You're only going to make your own arguments stronger. Do you remember a time when freedom of speech meant freedom of speech? I remember Skokie, Illinois, the Ku Klux Klan trying to get a permit to march. And who came to their aid? The ACLU. They defended the Ku Klux Klan. Reprehensible, disgusting, but free speech is free speech. And if my free speech rights are taken away, everyone's free speech rights can be taken away. You take it away from the Klan, you take it away from everybody. Selectively choosing who gets to speak and who doesn't hurts all of us.
Yeah.
So all of us have the right, no matter how detestable the speech is, we all have the right to say it. And what's happening with Laura Loomer and these people that we revere their opinions, and we want them to have a vehicle for that opinion. But essentially, we've silenced them. You can't find them anywhere. And if you're not on Twitter, you're not on Facebook, you're not on these major platforms, then where are you going to be? How are you going to gain exposure?
She does have a website. It's lauraloomer.com, if I'm not mistaken. They just don't realize what they're doing to us, we can do to them at some point in the future. So it's the pendulum swung. It's going to swing the other way. For example, after Carter, we got Reagan. So when Obama won, I said, I wonder who's going to win after this scumbag. Bam.
We got Trump. Trump's been in the works for 30 plus years. I've said it since 1989. The dawn of Trump has been coming.
He's been on camera saying the same thing for, like you said, 35, 40 years.
Speaking of saying the same thing, what do you think about Kavanaugh? It's like 2018 repeating itself.
It's unbelievable. I feel so sorry for him and his poor wife. I never want to see her in a courtroom again.
What's happened to him is a travesty, and above and beyond that is the fact that the charge this time around is being led by the New York Times. Once the pinnacle of free press, once the gray lady, the old reliable newspaper, foremost newspaper in this country, has been reduced to fish paper. I mean, it's an absolute travesty. And the fact of the matter is they put out a story about a sex assault that was, for all intents and purposes, shot down a year ago. Some woman who saw him expose himself at a party 35 years ago, can't remember, doesn't know if it happened, but someone came forward, someone who was there, who, by the way, is a Clinton family lawyer, who came forward and said, oh, I saw it, and without any fact-checking, without checking your sources, without doing your research, they put it out there because the digital age has preempted the importance of truth in journalism. The only thing that matters now is that ad revenue. How many clicks can you get? How many visitors to your site? And if you put out a story and it's false, to hell with it. At least we got the clicks. And they made a calculated decision because they knew that Kavanaugh would not sue. He's not going to sue the New York Times for libel because then his sexual history becomes fair game because truth is a defense to libel. So the only repercussions would be a lawsuit, and they knew that he wasn't going to do that. So essentially it's consequence-free libel.
It's unbelievable. They'll put out a fake story. You get 50,000 likes and tweets and whatever. And then the next day they put out, oh, I'm sorry. We really retract that. I'm sorry about that. They get to 300 clicks. It's a scam they've been doing for a couple of years at least against Trump. They do it to him all the time, like that whistleblower.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the fact remains that, ad revenue drives the stories. And it all comes down to money. And the New York Times knew that they had nothing to lose because Brett Kavanaugh could sue the New York Times. He is the victim of libel. And he has standing to sue, and he may because it's actual malice. And even though he's a public figure, as long as that actual malice standard can be met, the New York Times is wide open for a lawsuit. And the New York Times, I believe, and I think most people would agree, acted with actual malice, a just complete disregard for the truth as well as an intent to harm him. Because in the age we live in where everything's polarized and everything's politicized, the mainstream media by and large is an arm of liberalism, an arm of the Democrat Party. And the fact that these stories are being propagated by Dems, you got a Clinton lawyer who comes forward and says, oh, I saw it happen. They go with the story anyway, and they knew they had nothing to lose. Now, if Brett Kavanaugh were to sue the New York Times, he's going to be deposed. And they're going to ask him about his sexual history. They're going to hire investigators. They're going to go out and they're going to find any nutcase around here is going to say, well, I was at Yale in 1983 and I saw him expose himself here. And it's going to be like September 2018 all over again. And you mentioned, you mentioned at the start of the show, Bob, you said you never want to see the wife sitting there with that look on her face. And none of us do. That was heartbreaking.
Oh, it was horrible.
It was horrible. So the New York Times gets away with libel. Kavanaugh is just going to sit there and take it, and unfortunately has to. I understand it. And frankly, I think I speak for a lot of conservatives. I don't want to hear Brett Kavanaugh's name unless it has to do with an opinion that he's writing.
You know what he's doing probably right now?
What?
Having a beer.
God willing, it's what day are we? Friday? It's Friday? Friday night. He's having a beer. I hope he is. I really hope he is, and I hope he's happy, and he's a good guy, and he doesn't deserve this. And the problem with that is we watched what happened to him a year ago. We're watching it again. And look, 7 Democrat candidates immediately jumped on board. We got to, without checking the facts, without seeing if the story was true, they said, we got to impeach. That's it. Nothing else needed. So they go all in on this lie.
Right.
This guy's dragged through the mud again, and he's got to take it. And it makes people, these up-and-coming lawyers and judges and bright people that should serve and should be on the highest bench in the land, why in the world would they want to put themselves and their families through it? I'd say, hey, I'm going to stay on Wall Street or DC. I'm going to make $1 million a year as a partner in a private firm, and to hell with public service. And I don't blame them for that.
Right, me either. It's horrible. Well, at least you could say, hey, I'm on the Supreme Court for life.
He's on the Supreme Court. He's got job security. And speaking of job security and job numbers and the great economy, we got to celebrate that this week with another Trump rally.
Go!
I love Trump. Don't you love Trump rallies?
It makes the whole week. Hey, let me, Brad Paisley, who's his, Parscale.
You're thinking of the country music star. Parscale is the campaign director.
Oh, that's classic right there. I'm glad we're recording it. He put out a tweet and he said, 45,000 people registered for tickets. 78% registrants matched voter files. But one of the things I really loved, 40% of the registrants were Latinos. Get ready for this. 31% were Democrats. Oh, yeah.
You know what? I put out on Twitter this week, I was talking about, I think I was replying to Donald Trump. And, most Democrats, these, blue dog Democrats, these union types, the Ohio, the Pennsylvania Dems, the ones that voted for Obama but then voted for Trump, they're looking at what's going on in their own party and they have common sense. And they don't want to go socialist. They don't want to do what they're doing. They just want solid leadership and they want results. And Donald Trump is producing results. So that's why you're seeing 31% Democrat turnout or whatever the case may be at a rally. And Bob, he had the rally in New Mexico. 2016, New Mexico went to Hillary. What do you think he's doing? You think he's making a play for these states he lost?
I think, and what I really love too, that afterwards he went to California and raised $15 million. Boink! Yeah, liberals.
Amazing. Yeah, you know what? But he's going to these places that he lost and that traditionally don't go Republican, right. And he's pulling them out. He's finding them, and they're out there.
How about the fact that unions have a great health insurance plan, and all the Democrats are saying, "Sorry, union members, you're going to lose your health insurance plan if you vote for me."
Yeah. And how about the fact that unemployment's 3.6%, man? It's not just Republicans that have jobs. Everybody's got jobs. 3.6%. I can't remember when it was that low. I don't know if I've ever seen it that low in my lifetime.
It's difficult, actually, as an employer that I am to hire to find good people. You have to pay them more now to get a good person. So salaries are rising. Hourly rate is rising at a remarkable rate, too.
Well, also being down in the Southwest this week, we saw real progress on the wall. What did you think of that?
That's unbelievable how fast it's going up. I knew it could happen, but it must be just pissing off the liberals so badly because the problem is that the black population's coming over, the Hispanics are coming over, so they got to have illegals. That's why they care about them so much.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's a play for votes. There's no compassion. There's no altruism. It's let's get these people here. We're going to ply them with public assistance. We're going to give them everything for free. And then we're going to make voters out of them. We're going to give them legal status. We're going to do something. That's the plan. But that's been the plan for 50 years. That's what they've wanted to do. And we have, estimates say as high as possibly 20, 30 million illegal immigrants in this country. Possibly.
It's got to be like 30 million easily.
Yeah, it's a big number, and the plan is, and you listen to the Democrats, you listen to people like Gavin Newsom. I mean, my God, his state is falling apart. State of California, the cities, you're seeing diseases from the Middle Ages, you're seeing homelessness, you're seeing real health problems, real standards of living falling, and it's completely unaffordable. So you have essentially squeezing out a middle class. I mean, you really have essentially you have a form of socialism there already. Right. If you really look at the socioeconomic structure of the state, and he's welcoming everybody in, and he wants to give free healthcare, free tuition, free everything. And I think by and large, the Dems, as they go through this primary cycle, and they're all trying to, I like to say, out-left each other, who can give more stuff, who can offer more stuff. Andrew Yang's now giving away money. And then Beto.
They all want to give away health care.
Well, then Beto tips his hand and he's like, oh, hell yeah, we're going to take your AR. Now he's shown the card to the Democrats. Yeah, they want to take your guns. But above all, they want power. Everything comes down to power, and they want to solidify a power base for the next 50, 100 years. How do you do that? Bring the illegals here, ply them with free stuff, and say, hey, who's the party that gave you free stuff and citizenship? The Democrats. Vote Democrat.
I think Trump becoming president is finally we're pushing back and saying, hey, wait a second. We see what's going on now. And what's Trump have, like a 36% black approval rating now? So
Something like that. Yeah, it's a big number.
They're waking up to that. For the last 50 years, you've been saying that and not doing anything. So we'll give Trump
we're getting a wall, but we're getting a wall. I know the media likes to say, well, he's not giving you a wall, he's not delivering. We saw it. We're getting a wall. That's a good looking wall. You got the slats. You can see through it. You can't squeeze through it. It's pretty thin. You can't. I don't know how you get over it. But understand this, and I loved seeing him sign it. How cool was that?
He loves poking people.
He loves it, man. He is the king troll. But I'll tell you, I love seeing that wall, and I love that it's getting built. But one thing we got to remember, especially we conservatives, that the wall is not the end-all, be-all of combating immigration. It is a major part of it.
Right.
But we need border agents.
Yeah.
We need technology. We need to go after asylum abusers. We need to go after visa overstays. We need to go after employers who hire these people. Yeah, exactly. We got to do that. That's a big one.
How about that chicken plant where what did they round up, like 600 illegal aliens or 300?
Yeah, and all the Democrats, join hands and did kumbaya. But my God, we need to go after these employers. That's the allure. I mean, on one hand, it's the free stuff they're getting. On the other hand, it's the jobs, because these employers, now they did round up the people who were working there. Right. I do think there's pending, there's an investigation and potentially charges against the employers, which, man, if you got a chicken plant, you're hiring 600 illegal immigrants, there's got to be criminal liability falling on you.
There's a lot of fault on the Republican side, too, because they want cheap labor. They're people that are donating money to them.
Big time. Understand, the wall, we've been talking about the wall for a long time. And actually in 2006, the money was allocated to Secure Fence Act. And George W. Bush was president. And since then, think about how many Republican Congresses we've had. Even the last one with Paul Ryan, we couldn't get it done because you have a lot of Republicans who like that big corporate money, and they want the cheap laborers, the guys that own the factories, the manufacturing plants. They don't want to pay guys like you and I $30 an hour and have to insure us. They want to pay someone $10 a day under the table, whatever the hell they're going to pay them.
Thank God for Trump, huh?
And you know what? But it's also looking out for these people. We're not exploiting these poor people who, look, many of them are just coming here for a better life.
Right.
And Trump was clear about that. I know the media excoriated him. They're all rapists. They're all murderers. No, he never said that.
Right.
He never made an all-encompassing blanket statement that everyone who comes here from the southern border is a criminal. Right. Many of them, the majority of them, are decent human beings that have a poor quality of life back home and just want to have jobs and provide for their families. But we can't open our door to everybody. I'm a humanitarian. I love all people. But, man, we have limited resources here. We got to look after our own people first. America first.
I don't think that if you come to America, you shouldn't be able to get public assistance for at least 10 years. Don't come.
I agree with that. And you want to go back to the days of Ellis Island. Man, they used to make you, here, hammer a nail, or show me how you do this. Do you have a skill that you're bringing with you to this country? Are you going to be self-reliant? And that's why we had a completely different generation of immigrants.
Right.
And the culture changed. But, we're getting a wall, and that's a big step. It's going to help. We already see border crossings down. And the other thing, Mexico's contributing their own soldiers.
I was just going to say that.
On their side, yeah.
No one's been able to get Mexico to help, and now they're helping. That's been a big, huge help. The southern part of Mexico.
What's the number? It's like 20, I heard as high as 27,000 Mexican troops are securing their own border.
Yep, and it's their border, their southern border, so they can't get into Mexico, and
because they're coming up from Central America, Honduras, Guatemala. But so Mexico's contributing soldiers, which we're saving money and expense on the border. We're saving resources. We take those resources. We pay for the wall. Wait a minute, did Mexico just pay for the wall? Did we build a wall and did Mexico pay for it?
No.
Oh man, liberal heads are spinning. Wow, yeah. Look, Donald Trump was never going to write it. He was never going to get Mexico to write a check. That's what everyone said. Everyone on the liberal side is like, no, Mexico's not going to write a check. Vicente Fox is like, we're not going to pay for your effing wall. Well, no, you're not going to write us a check. But when we cut back on the aid that we provide to you, and we save money on doing the things that you should be doing, in turn, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Promises made, promises kept. Let's move on to the Nadler-Lewandowski showdown. Did you catch that?
A couple segments I did for sure. He's great, man. He needs to run for New Hampshire Senate. He's really smart.
Man, he is smart. He is sharp. He is quick on his feet. And he was just saying all the things that we've wanted to hear these witnesses in these absolutely fruitless, frivolous hearings say to Nadler and the crew that's leading this essentially impeachment charge. I mean, really, that's what they're doing. They're masquerading it as these investigatory hearings, but this is an impeachment.
Did you hear Pelosi's all pissed at Nadler for doing this? Because they look like idiots.
I don't blame her. And as crazy as she is politically, she's a very smart woman politically, and she knows the damage that impeachment can have for their party.
They're never going to get it through. We got the Senate. So it's a complete waste. It's a circus that we're watching.
Well, okay, it's an election year. And first of all, they want to be able to stain him with impeachment. Because understand, we've had 2 presidents impeached. We've never had a president removed. We had 1 president resign. We've had 2 presidents impeached. And look, let me educate some folks out there who don't know what impeachment is. Impeachment is not removal. Impeachment is like if you were charged with a crime, and impeachment is the indictment or filing document. You have been charged. Then the proceedings occur in the Senate, and you have to be found guilty by 2/3 of the Senate. That's never happened in history. Andrew Johnson, when he was impeached, was acquitted. Bill Clinton, when he was impeached, he was acquitted. Donald Trump, if he were to be impeached, yeah, overwhelmingly. You're not going to get 66, 67 senators to vote to convict him. It's not going to happen. First of all, there's not the evidence. It's not going to happen.
It's just really frustrating to see the Dems do nothing. They hate America. They want to destroy America. They won't give Trump a win on anything. It's just really frustrating for someone like myself.
Well, they hate America for what it is. They love the America that they envision. But the America they envision does not include people like you and I who think the way we do. They want a monolith. They want impressionable people who will toe the party line. And I'm going to get to that in a moment. We saw that today with the climate strike. And you want to talk about government control. You want to talk about it all coming down to power. We'll talk about climate.
You know what I read today is the UN just put the president of Venezuela on a humanitarian board seat. I was like, what? Venezuela?
Wow. Okay, what was Kim Jong-un wasn't available? Jeez, man. The UN.
The UN is useless.
The UN is useless, man. I've been saying that for years, but we all got to play nice.
They're evil. I would go as far as I'd go there.
Well, their interests do not serve the United States. Countries like us that don't need them. I mean, it's kind of like Great Britain and the Eurozone. Why are they on the pound and everyone else is on the euro? Like, we don't need, our currency is worth a lot of money. I don't want your currency. It's the same thing. We're carrying the UN. We financially back the UN. Without us, the UN is nothing. So when you're the top dog, there's no incentive.
Let's take a vote on who wants to stop funding the UN, just between you and I.
The ayes have it. But regarding Nadler, look, Pelosi's right to be upset about it. It's not going to fare well for the Dems. I mean, it's going to fare well for us in the end. I think Trump's going to win a resounding 2020 victory. I think he's going to get states he didn't win in 2016. I think you're going to have people coming out in droves to vote for him. You don't have the enthusiasm on that side. And look, if Nadler wants to play political circus at our expense, I mean, at the end of the day, you and I are paying for that. And it's frustrating.
I think there's millions of people that now realize, hey, Trump wasn't lying. I'm going to actually vote for him this time. That didn't vote for him in 2016.
Well, they see results over rhetoric. And that's, at the end of the day, people vote with their pocketbooks, and people are doing well. They got more money. They got jobs. Things are good. And you're not going to oust an incumbent when the economy is the way it is. You're not going to oust an incumbent with 3.6% unemployment. It's not going to happen.
Except voter fraud.
That's something we need to be concerned about. Yes, you hit the nail on the head. Voter fraud. We need to tighten down and
ID.
Yeah, no, we need to be prepared for that in 2020 because we see how unhinged the left is. That would not surprise me. I feel like we got to get this guy out one way or the other. Don't care how it happens.
They don't care if he got killed or they killed me. They don't care. The left will do anything. Hence the civil war we're in.
Yeah, and you said it. I mean, right now it's digital. I hope it doesn't go beyond that platform, but I've had a lot of concerns about 2020. I mean, we saw how unhinged they were. They still can't get over 2016, and we're still litigating it now.
Yeah.
And if they lose that second term, Trump gets it.
It's going to be horrible.
I think it's going to be ugly. I think we need to be vigilant, and we need to be aware of that. And these are frightening times.
I think Trump is going to do something. I've been reading about how they kind of, for the 2018, they kind of set it up to see how they were cheating. And I think that he's going to do something where you have to have an ID to vote, and the Dems are going to scream.
You're going to scream to high heaven. And what's the problem with that? Well, we know what the problem is.
Voter
fraud. They don't want to turn the illegals away. There's really no cogent argument against ID. You need a driver's license to drive a car. Why not a little piece of paper with your photo on it to go vote? What's the problem with that?
It's all a scam, man. What else you got?
Well, Justin Trudeau. What do you think about that? What's your take on that? On blackface or brownface, whatever.
I think what you did 20, 30 years ago shouldn't ruin your life today. People change, and
thank you, Bob.
Anybody lives getting ruined over something they did 30 years ago. So I don't like it.
We see a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives out on Twitter who want to take him down. But I think cooler heads need to prevail here. Justin Trudeau is a terrible leader. If you're going to cancel him for that. He sucks as a leader. What he wore 18 years ago to a party, that does not change my opinion about him. He's still a bad leader.
He's still stuck.
We cannot dive headfirst into this liberal-driven cancel culture.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Look, first of all, sentiments were very different 18 years ago.
Yeah.
The things we did then, perhaps we didn't think about them in terms of sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
But for Republicans to buy into the fake outrage, go, well, now we have to cancel him. Man, that pendulum swings back the other way. It could bite us just as easily. If you're going to cancel him. Yeah, and it has. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you're going to cancel him because he's a poor leader. But that fake outrage, we just can't buy into it. But it is fun watching the liberals eat him.
What popped in my head was Roseanne Barr, what happened with her. It's just unbelievable. God forbid you could say a joke now. Because, no, stop! The left has ruined humor.
They have. They've absolutely ruined humor. I watch shows like Married with Children, All in the Family, and they're hilarious. And I think, my God, if I were a professor in a college, I would make a freshman class sit down and watch episodes of those shows. Learn to laugh. They're funny. There was a time, I put a tweet out today to my Generation Z followers, all you young kids, 18 to 20, however old you are, there was a time when you could make offensive jokes and you could laugh and it was okay and it didn't ruin your job prospects.
Generation Z, aren't they very conservative?
I see them coming back the other way, but remember, and I'm going to get to that in a moment, we talk about the climate strike, you're still seeing high school and college age kids. So that social justice mentality has really trickled down from the younger millennials who are in their mid to late 20s now to the high school and college age kids now. Now we see a number of prominent Generation Z conservatives, especially on Twitter. Right. You see a lot of guys who are really putting that out there and really given me, I'm an older millennial. It gives me a lot of hope because I look at my generation. I'm like, what the hell, guys? What happened? And I'm gonna stick up for the later end of my generation. I was born in 1981, so I still have coping ability. I had an analog childhood and a digital adulthood, so I know how to survive in the world. I can go beyond the means of my phone in my hand. I know how to forage for food and go out, and when the apocalypse happens, I'm going to be okay. I can't speak for the rest of you. But the Generation Z, you young guys and young girls out there, two genders, you see what's going on, and come on, it's okay to laugh. Like when I was in college, when I was in high school, we had friends of different races. We had gay friends, we had black friends, we had Hispanic friends, and we all made fun of each other. And yes, sometimes you could crack a racial joke or a gay joke, and it was okay, and it doesn't come from a place of hatred. When you're friends, you rib each other, you joke with each other, and it was okay. And we miss that because what actually happens is when you have to put up these barriers and be very careful and guarded with what you say, you actually become more conscious of differences. And I think it makes you more racist, actually.
it's just, for me, it makes me more miserable that I can't say so much stuff now, but whatever. The left ruins everything it touches. We'll just leave it there.
You hit the nail on the head. And lastly, what I wanted to touch on tonight was climate strike. And I usually don't get into climate issues, right, but I saw this morning that climate strike was trending. #1 trend on Twitter today. And essentially what it is these young people, I think it's spearheaded by this like teenage girl in Sweden or something.
Is it? And the one that's in America?
Gretel von Schnutzenberg, or whatever her name, I'm probably butchering it. It's some Swedish teenager who's like leading the charge on a global climate strike. And what it is these young people are going to strike against fossil fuels. Well, first and foremost, young people, put this device down because it's not made out of recycled paper. Fossil fuels, exactamundo, fossil fuels. How do you think they get the minerals to make the wiring? How do you think they get the plastics? Those are fossil fuels. So think about that. You do rely on them. You do use them. Now, should we be concerned about the environment? Yes, I understand that. But the climate strike is completely a disingenuous attempt to masquerade virtue signaling with actual virtue. And permit me to explain. So you have a climate strike, you have people participating. I think it satisfies 3 basic needs. One is tribalism. You get to belong to something. You get to be among people who are like-minded. Now, tribalism exists because it's evolutionary for us. Our caveman ancestors, if you went out and did it on your own, you were dead. You needed the tribe. You needed people around you, and we carry that. We have needs for acceptance. So you want to be accepted into a group. The second thing is dopamine. You want to look. You're going to the climate strike rally, but what are you going to do? You're going to take your selfie. You're going to post it. Look at me. Look how virtuous I am, guys. Look what I'm standing for. So being virtuous and the appearance of being virtuous are 2 very different things. It's virtue signaling because it makes you feel good because the feedback you get. It's not about saving the environment. It's about how many likes and retweets you can get.
Right.
And then lastly, it's time off of school. And that's what it is. It's time off of work and time off of school. But the irony of it is you have these upper middle class white kids who have the means to travel long distances to these days. They can afford to take time off work and school, and they want to disrupt business as usual. Well, who does it hurt when they disrupt business as usual? The low-income wage workers who they allege to champion for. So it completely makes no sense.
I love that they had to drive there on their fossil fuel to get to this stupid rally or whatever it is.
Well, but the irony is when you see the cleanup from it, when they're all done, it's going to look like the Women's March. There's going to be signs and paper and trash everywhere.
What really, the Keystone Pipeline, the environmentalists, the garbage they left behind was like, really? You guys are environmentalists? I don't know. It just didn't really make sense. But yeah.
Look, the bottom line is that this push for climate, and especially getting the young people on board with that and this fear-mongering, is that climate issues come down to control.
Yeah.
It comes down to the government telling you what you can eat, what kind of car you can drive, and even Bernie Sanders the other week was talking about population control. That's what they do in China. They tell you how many kids you can have. So if they can inject enough fear and say, well, it's about the climate, we need to do things for the climate, the government has total control.
That's what they want, total control.
Absolutely, and that's what it's about. Well, Bob, that about brings me to the end of my news stories. You got anything else?
No, nothing. No, we touched on the rally. No.
Well, I think it's been a busy news week. Obviously, we've got a lot coming into next week. Some of the things I'm looking forward, I want to see Horowitz and the FISA issue be resolved. I think that's something that we're all waiting for. I speak for many people when I say I am impatient and I want justice and I want it now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. But people need to go to jail or hung for treason.
I think there is a laundry list of offenses and a long list of people who need to be held accountable. McCabe, Strzok, Page, Comey, Lynch. That's my list. I know some people have a bigger list, but I see them as really your most serious offenders there. And with the FISA issue coming to the forefront, you're going to see that the basis for all of this, what gave the court the wherewithal to say, okay, we're going to authorize this surveillance was a lie. And I'm a former prosecutor, and I've drafted lots of warrants in my life, and you include all material facts. And if there's a material omission, which you don't say, hey, the information, by the way, was paid for by the Clinton campaign,
Right.
You don't include that, the court would have ruled the other way. No judge is going to look at that and go, oh, this is based on campaign research. They're not going to issue a FISA warrant on campaign research.
Right.
That's fraud on the court. That's a crime.
Yeah, I was just reading an article about the woman that they said was a Russian spy over in Britain, and now she's suing a whole bunch of people, and she just did an addendum too that it's all coming out that the Brennan and the Britain's intelligence agencies were working hand in hand with the media to try to take down Trump and certainly Flynn. So yeah, it's all a lie, all of it.
It's all a lie, and it's frustrating, to this day to see Flynn still going through what he's going through. I hope that it comes to an end. I know we talked about it on the last show. Sidney is a great lawyer. General Flynn, you have a champion in your corner. I have all the faith in the world, and I think the truth is going to come to light. But, just having that hang over your head, going to bed every night knowing you've pled guilty to a federal crime. I mean, just the effect that has on your life, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody, and especially someone who served 33 years in the United States Marine Corps.
What just popped in my head is truth. And it's the truth the left can't handle. And that's what happened with Laura Loomer, speaking the truth. That's what happened to Martin Luther King Jr. That's what happened to Jesus Christ. When the truth is horrible, the world is upside down right now is all I have to say. It really is.
Black is white, white is black, up is down. I mean, it is. It's like Bizarro World from Superman. Everything is not as it's supposed to be. And I see Donald Trump as this great equalizing force who has to right the ship after 30 years of globalism and corporate inversion and perpetual war and cultural decline. And, I think that people are really starting to wise up to that. And, Bob, I got to give some credit where credit is due. There are a lot of guys like us out there. Well, of course, Bob, absolutely, my illustrious co-host. But, I got to give some credit because we can't trust the mainstream media anymore. We've seen too many incidents like we saw with Kavanaugh in the New York Times. And it's guys like us, just regular guys who have an opinion and want to be heard. And, I think that's the new age of media. And that's why it's frustrating, as you said in the beginning of the show, to see people like Laura Loomer, these truth sayers who are being silenced because people don't want to hear that truth. Yeah. You want to be strong. You want to have a strong opinion. Listen to the opinions you find distasteful. It's going to make you smarter.
Well, let's wrap it. Thanks for watching the weekly wrap-up show.
Thank you, guys. And Eric, Saturdays at 12, we're going to bring you a Wednesday night little mini wrap-up, just kind of touch on what's going on. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in.
God bless you.
Make America great again. Keep America great. Go Trump.
Trump 2020.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.